It is 2501, 100 years after the Great War. The North American continent is ruled by mighty warlords in constant conflict over forest territory. You are one of the elite mercenaries, riders of the big bikes. It's a quick way to get rich, and a quicker way to die. You patrol your forest day and night, chasing enemy riders and destroying them with your guided photon bolts for $1,000 at a time. You may find helicopters and tanks too. Your masters reward you particularly well if you destroy these. You can only fire at the other riders when at top speed, and cannot hit them unless you are close enough. Your range indicator will flash when you are in range, and your purse increases as long as you're in such hot pursuit. It is said that the greatest reward is kept for the rider who can penetrate 8 sectors. You will need every ounce of skill to find out.
So, welcome back to Binni's Retro. In case you haven't watched my videos before, I am a retro game enthusiast from Iceland originally. And what I'm doing with these videos is I'm playing through all the Sinclair ZX Spectrum games I never played when I was young. Because I had the ZX Spectrum for 10 years, between 1982 and 1992. But I read about a lot of games in your Sinclair, games I never had access to. And one of these games I am going to cover today, Deathchase. So, let's take a look. Deathchase, what a name. Often also called 3D Deathchase or Deathchase 3D because of the prominent 3D text written on the cover, was released back in the ancient Spectrum days, the great year of 1983. I myself was 6 years old at the time, but sadly I never heard of this game until I was actually a middle-aged man, googling various best of the Spectrum lists online. And here was a game I had not heard about, and no one I knew owned, and it was a game that was clearly kept in high regard by players. I also noticed that in Kim Justice's top 100 games for the ZX Spectrum, which I watched on YouTube, that this game was actually the #1 game. And what I find especially interesting about that is that Kim herself, she didn't even have a Spectrum back in 1983, but actually much later in the Specky's life cycle. So, my interest was thoroughly piqued for this game, and a game that worked even on 16K hardware. And today, I'm actually going to play it for the first time. So, let's look how this game was received at the time. The reception to Deathchase is a lot stranger and more all over the place than any other game I have looked at reviews for so far. Mostly, I think it's because the game was released quite a bit before any Spectrum magazines ever existed. But the review that would be nearest to the release date is the first one I found, and it's actually the marquee review in the first ever issue of Crash magazine. So Crash, in its first ever magazine, labeled the game as New Game of the Month. I would say it's probably a possible precursor to the fabled Crash Smash label. And it gave it a whopping total score of 92%, with use of computer at 90, graphics at 92, playability at 95, getting started at 85 and addictive qualities 98. And they ended up with value for money at 92. This Crash review has one of those characteristically strange font designs with dark blue text on a black background, so it's a little hard to make out what is being said, but a few quotes are: "This is an extremely simple idea for a game, and utterly compelling to play." And also the quote, "Return of the Jedi has nothing on this. The chase through the trees is breathtaking, quite literally." So this Crash review is, I feel, almost the only review I feel we can trust from the era on Deathchase. It did get a lot of reviews after this and in many magazines, but they were all in what I can only describe as the more unprofessional area of the specky magazines. The short budget reviews. I'm guessing either people did the budget reviews quickly in these magazines or got some kid or intern to handle them. In any case, they are quite the mixed bag. And I'm gonna dig a little bit deeper into Your Sinclair. Your Sinclair was my magazine, and I would say they have a history like no other with this game. It really is a roller coaster of emotions over a long period of time. So let's crack our fingers, strap in, and take a look at these. So the first review from Your Sinclair back in 1984 gave the game a score of 6 out of 10. But they reviewed it back again in 1986 and they gave it the same score. And while this 1986 review is a rather positive review, the reviewer seems to dock a lot of points for the game for being a $2.99 budget title and not a £1.99 release. Clearly, proper pricing was a hot topic in those days when it came to reviews. The first two scores that Your Sinclair gave the game are actually the lowest they ever gave the game for some reason. But there is more. In 1989, we are going upwards in the score department for Deathchase, where Your Sinclair went for a 69 score, stating that graphics are rubbish, gameplay is jerky, but, well, I actually quite enjoyed it. The basic idea is after all pretty good, and to my amazement I found myself quite unable to tear myself from this odd little game. However, Your Sinclair in the 90s really went all in on the Deathchase praise. So let's take a look at that. Finally, in 1991, Your Sinclair decided to give the game the #1 all-time top game for the specky. And this is a game that they've twice given 6 out of 10 and then a 69 score. But, interesting, they were here predating Kim Justice's same verdict by about 30 years and then noted in their 82% rated later budget review from 1992, a full 9 years from the original release of the game, that, to quote, "This is one of those games that you'll stare at despondently on your first game and think, nah, and then you'll be hooked." And finally, in the end, when the game saw a release on a Your Sinclair cover tape in 1993, a full 10 years after the release of the game and really in the last days of the Spectrum, they label it among their top 100 all-time Your Sinclair games, with this game being #1. So, a real roller coaster of verdicts and reviews and lists for Your Sinclair. Well, I'm at least excited to start playing this game. Okay, let's go. Wow, that is very loud. Jesus. Okay. This is the game. It starts with a lot of noise. I love it's just the default font of the Sega Spectrum from the time. Not many games after 1984 just had the default font, so that's interesting. Yeah, keyboard, Camstone, and we have here Mervyn Estcourt, 1983. I read a little bit about Mervyn, and there isn't much info about him, and apparently he did 3 or 4 games back there in 1983, 1984 for Micromega, and hasn't been seen in the video game industry since then. If someone knows anything more about his history, I would love to see in the comments. Maybe there's something in some magazine or somewhere, but okay, let's test this game out. Oh, it's loud. Okay, I know there's an accelerate. Oh, and I can shoot. Wow. Okay, got my first one. This is intense. And I'm not very good at it. Can I get the helicopter? Nice. Level 1. Night Patrol. Okay. How is that different? I don't know why I would ever want to decelerate in this game. Is that kind of a strategic thing? Does anyone who has experience with this game know? I would love to see some of that in the comments as well. Doing pretty well. Maybe I'm still just in the easy. Okay. Whoa! Doing quite well. Oh! I'm a Deathchase natural. Okay, it's night again. Oh, there's a tank there. That must be a lot of points. A lot of money, actually. Did not get the tank. Ah, okay. Yes, I got the tank. Wow. This game for 1983 for 16k. Very, very, very impressive, I would say. This is, I mean, it feels 3D. It feels like the super scalers, like Afterburner or Outrun. I don't know how they squeezed this into 16k, to be honest. Let's get the helicopter. No, the helicopter is difficult. Okay. Okay, now there's more trees. It has become more intense here. Whoa! Wow. I mean, this is basically Return of the Jedi. I mean, if these are speeder bikes and not motorbikes, this is Return of the Jedi. This is the Endor Forest. Okay. I feel I am doing really well. I don't know. Maybe my 19th instinct of playing Wipeout are coming into play here. So let's finish. Let's see how far I can get. Whoa. Okay, now we're talking about intense forests here. Whoa. This is good. I would have loved if the game would just start here. Like, it does feel like the first levels are kinda... Wow! That was a very intense death sequence. Yeah, it does feel like the first levels are kinda... You kinda breeze through them. This is where the actual game should start. Like if it was an arcade game from the time, it would start here. What's going on now? Okay. Sector 5. There were like 8 sectors. Okay. It is very intense when you die in this game. You get like this squeaky sound. It's... Wow. Uh-oh. Wow, this... I mean... You always feel like you have a way through this. It doesn't ever feel impossible. And the mistakes that you make are very... It does feel very much like it's your mistakes. You're not... Yeah. Wow. Ah! Jesus. Game over. Whew, I've got my adrenaline up. This was kinda intense. I don't know what to say, but I think actually I don't need to play anymore before I give out my verdict on this game. So let's just go straight into that. So Deathchase. This was interesting. I played this game exactly once, and you saw it. A very, very interesting game, and I don't think I need to play more to actually know how I feel about it. So let's take a look. What do I feel about Deathchase? And really, does 45-year-old Binni like this game? I say yes, it was fun. It brought out my adrenaline. I was very focused. I don't know, I probably mumbled something while I was playing it because it was so intense. Historically, I think this game feels very important. It feels very well designed, like a technical marvel for a 16K computer. Really, really impressive. But do I think 8 to 9-year-old Binni, or actually 6-year-old Binni, because this came out when I was 6, would I have loved this? Oh yes, I would. So Return of the Jedi, let's talk a little bit about that. My friend Robert, when we were young, he was allowed to rent a lot of VHS tapes from the video rental. But usually Robert just picked this one film, and it was always Return of the Jedi. So we would watch Return of the Jedi at his place pretty much every week. I don't think there's a movie in this world I've seen as often as I've seen Return of the Jedi. And it's not even my favorite Star Wars film. My favorite would probably be Empire. But Return of the Jedi, it's in my brain. It's part of me. I know every single scene, every word, and yes, I love the speeder race. And the speeder bikes in the Andor forest, this is that. And it's cool. And it's very well made. And 6-year-old me would have loved this. Like, compare this to Throw the Wall or Forest Goes Skiing or Checkered Flag. There's no contest. This game is much, much better. Okay, but will I ever play it again? I'd say probably. And this is where it comes in. What it's kind of interesting with this game is that it's really, really good. It's really historically good. But playing it again, I felt it was a little bit slow to begin with. You had to kind of go through kind of easy levels before you got to the full-on action. I think this game would be perfect if you start at like level 4. Then it's just instant arcade action from the get-go. But yeah, let's go into ranking this game. So Deathchase, where does this game stack up against the other games I've played? I'm doing the ranking thing like everyone else is doing in the retro gaming community, but I'm doing it because I like it. It gives me more fun when I'm doing these videos, and I'm doing these videos to have fun, and of course interact with people in the comments and on Twitter and everywhere else. But yeah, what's the rule set behind this? There isn't really a rule set. It's just a feeling. It's a feeling that I have, like S, A, B, C, F tier. And where does Deathchase end up here? So, to me, Deathchase is an interesting thing. It's really fun. It's really well designed. And if you look at like 1983, the competition, what games were out there? Are we talking like Manic Miner, Jetpack? These are the top of the line. Me in 1983, the games that I had, it was like Forest Goes Skiing and Throw the Wall and Checkered Flag, and I think I had Jetpack probably. But I mean, I would have loved it, and it's such a fantastically designed game for 1983. Really, really an amazing achievement for a 16K computer. But there are design flaws. It's very, very loud, and one of the things also is that it takes a while to get going. It's a little boring to go through the first couple of levels because they are way too easy. If it would start at level 4 or 5, just instant action like a really hard arcade game, this game would be perfect. But yeah, as it stands, Deathchase, and I'm actually gonna put it here in the A rank. I think it deserves to be there. It's a really strong game, and I think I'm gonna test it out a little bit more to see how far I can get. One thing I find also very interesting and about this game in terms of the design is that it's very interesting how you can move the shot after you fired it. I don't know if that is something that they had to put in there because of limitations, or if it was a design thing, but it's really solid to be able to move the shot after you shot it, and I think it kind of makes the game good. It makes the game, there's more strategic strategy to it. I like it. But yeah, Deathchase, solid A rank. And yeah, that's it for this video of Binni's Retro. I'd like to thank SeeDubs for the great help with the voiceover in the intro. And again, WhatHoSnorkers helped me out. This time he was helping me out creating all the AI images we were using in the beginning. And we had a lot of fun making those. And thank you all for commenting and liking and subscribing. It's been really fun so far, and I'm very much looking forward to making more videos. Thank you.